So, Lucy DeCoutere, I believe that is French for of the cooter. Lucy DeCoutere has quit the Trailer Park Boys because of domestic abuse within the staff, within the actors. Bubbles apparently has been beating the crap out of women, and Lucy ain't having that. She's a big domestic abuse fighter. In fact, I think she's likened herself to David Beckham in the fight. And people always, I think the running thing with when women do this is, well, they wouldn't lie about something like that. Who would lie about it? Well, there is an incentive to be a victim. It is cool to be a victim. Look at Mattress Girl. She was a celebrity for a victim. And every time I come across this, I look up the woman who's made the accusation, whether she's a writer or someone who should have a presence on Google, and that's always the main thing you see, is that she was a victim of this. I mean, Lucy herself in court had to concede that a recent trial brought her another 25,000 Twitter followers, which made her more influential. That's a little tall. Now, here's the thing about domestics that a lot of people don't understand. If you're accused of beating a woman, the court plows forward. Think of the giant boulder in Indiana Jones. Once that happens, you cannot stop it. Even the woman who was the supposed victim, she can't, if she stands in the way, she's going to get trampled too. And anything can set it off. You just touch a little Aztec sculpture. A neighbor calls the cops. A stranger calls the cops. An anonymous call calls the cops. The woman can be screaming, "No, I don't have a problem here." And the trial plows forward. And that seems to be what's happening with Bubbles. Mike Smith, I think his name is. And the woman who he supposedly attacked has already said, "We just had a heated argument. I don't want this to happen. I don't want the police involved." But Lucy can't wait to get involved and quits immediately. Now, this woman was made famous recently, again, another victim story with Gian Gameshi, a guy who works for the CBC, which I hate. So when that whole trial was going on and he was accused of being a rapist, I thought, good. Taste of your own medicine, CBC. Taste of your own mess, liberal witch hunters. Now you can see what it's like when one of your own is framed. And I'm sorry, it's unethical and it's immoral, but I took pleasure in his suffering. However, eventually you have to finish your 9/11 dance as the towers fall down and say, okay, we have to get on with our lives. And he was clearly innocent. And this all came out in court. In fact, they showed Lucy, so she says she was strangled and slapped, and then she stayed to try to normalize it. Stayed petrified in fear, slept in his bed. Oh, she was so scared. And then the next morning, she went out and had a petrifying brunch as she ate eggs and ordered a little bit more hot sauce, shaking with the hot sauce. It was actually effective with the hot sauce because it spread it on the eggs better. And then she petrified, went to the park and canoodled with him and had a petrified canoodling on the park, which they brought up in the trial. They show her the picture of her hanging out with him. And you go, this doesn't seem that traumatizing. And she said, oh, I don't remember that. And this reminded me, I've heard that before. Remember Jamie Peck? Terry Richardson was another guy who was framed. And all these women said, I had to have sex with him to become a model. That's like saying I had to have sex with him to get in the MLB. If you can't throw a fastball at 100 miles an hour, you're not in the MLB. Sorry. If you are a fat pig and you're Anna Wintour's best friend, she can't put you on the cover of Vogue. It just doesn't work. You can't BS your way into modeling. They have all these crazy rules about weird alien eyes. You have to look like Benedict Cumberbatch and have a 12-year-old boy's body. I'm not a fan of it, but those are the parameters. So Jamie Peck goes, yeah, I was forced to do it. It was hell. Of course, you Google her, and that's what comes up. Terry Richardson, this photographer, did that to me. You look at her and you go, you were never getting any modeling gigs. Okay, sorry, no matter who you know. And the New York Magazine did an article about her, and the journalist, when she talked about it, I went over there and it was horrible. He wrapped his penis around my neck like a noose and he hanged me. Or I forget exactly what the details were, but he beat her with his penis, something terrible. She had sex and hated it the whole time. And he goes, I was looking over the pictures and I couldn't help but notice he had about 12 different hairdos in his photographs. Did you cut your hair 12 times in one day, or did you keep going back to his house? And she goes, I don't know. Exactly the same as Lucy. And then she calls back later and goes, maybe I don't remember. That shows how traumatized I was. I was so traumatized by it that I didn't remember going back. I was like a zombie who kept returning. I was like I was brain damaged. It's like he took my brain out and threw it away. Look, I know this sounds like I'm trivializing the victims of sexual harassment, but I'm actually doing the opposite when you have these ambulance chasers who want to use this, when you have Mattress Girl and Lucy DeCoutere, and you have Jamie Peck, what you're really doing is trivializing the real victims here. And that's sexist, and that's bad for women. So once again, we arrive at a conclusion where feminism is bad for women, and the safest place for them to be is in a patriarchy.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of the Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.